hypothetically going forward, say that there is a two-state solution or a one-state solution. Say that some kind of equilibrium democratically is realized between the Palestinians and the Jews, the Israelis rather. This takes place, and the biggest fear, it seems to me, for even moderate Israelis is the fact that the population disparity, and if there was an equal vote for each person, that they would simply be marginalized, and any kind of retribution they've invoked, fairly or unfairly, would be visited upon them. And so I think that's really the thing. The devil's in the details. And so could you speak? You say, let's work towards a solution. Let's work towards that. But could you speak towards what that? And I probably could take a whole other session, but what that picture might look like of some kind of peaceful stasis, even though it won't be stasis, it'll be a process.
Well, there are two separate issues. There's a sort of abstract issue, and there's a practical issue. You know, you're old enough to remember the American South. In the American South, they dreaded desegregation, and they dreaded giving African Americans the right to vote because they said it's going to wreck the Southern way of life. If these people can now go to the same, live with us, and so on and so forth, there's this thing they called the Southern way of life. And giving African Americans the right to vote and integration and so forth, it's going to destroy it. Now, there was an argument there. There was a Southern way of life, and that Southern way of life was premised on segregation. That's true. Is that grounds, then, to deny African Americans the right to vote and to deny integration? In the case of South Africa, there wasn't only the theoretical possibility of them whites being swamped in an election, it was a factual reality. It wasn't a prospect, it was a factual reality. Blacks are 78% of the population, whites about 22, something like that. No, I think it was 87-13, actually. I don't remember now. And they thought these black people are savages, and to give them the right to vote is going to totally destroy that white way of life in South Africa. Was that grounds to deny black people the right to vote and to create a system based on, one person, one vote, and all the rest? Was it grounds? And so if your answer is it wasn't grounds in the American South and it wasn't grounds in South Africa, I don't see how you can make a special exception for Israel-Palestine. Having said that, it's not yet a practical issue because the settlement that's being called for now is a two-state settlement. It's not a one-state settlement where that issue arises. There is an issue that does arise, which is that 20% of the Israeli population is Arab, and it's growing at a faster rate, obviously, than the Israeli Jewish population. There is a problem arising there. I don't see how you can, accept these basic principles in one place and not another. You're going to have to learn to live with these people, just like American people in the South had to learn to live with black people, and they had to learn to live with black people in South Africa. I don't see another. I can't see another position which is justifiable. And I just have to say, I know maybe you don't really want to hear it, but I've spent a lot of time in the occupied territories. I've lived in the heartbed of the Muslim occupied territories, not Gaza, but I lived in Hebron, and I lived in Fawar camp. I don't see any problem with living with Palestinian Arabs. I liked it there, and my closest friend, Musa Abu Heshesh, we're very close friends. I don't dread those prospects. I'm not so afraid of them. I don't think rational people should be afraid of them. It's like Americans, New York City. It's one of the funniest things about New York. Ask New Yorkers who are white, and whenever they hear Harlem, it's like, oh my God. 98% of white New Yorkers have never been to Harlem. It just has that kind of mystique. But then European whites, when they come over, where do they all live? Whenever you meet a European, 20 or 30-year-old, where do you live? Harlem. Whites, they all love Harlem. As a New Yorker, you develop this kind of, psychosis and paranoia about it. And foreigners never have a problem. And the same thing there. You talk to Israelis, you were in Hebron? Or I remember during the first Intifada, you were in Arab Jerusalem? It's like, you were on Mars. And whereas if you were Jewish and you were reasonable, there was never any problem at all. The only thing I ever feared in the occupied territories was being killed by an Israeli soldier. And I mean that seriously. Now that filled me with dread. But that was a rational fear. They're crazy.